New Zealand is without a doubt a place for all kinds of travelers. Those who are seeking luxury or those on a very tight travel budget. A lot of backpackers come here either buying a car, hitchhiking, or the most common route, buying a camper van. Camper vanning culture is actually really big here, as it allows you to convert your vehicle into a moving home. While I could have easily gone this route of buying a van and turning it into my own home on 4 wheels, I didn't do that. Instead, I bought a motorcycle. In the first week of travel here, I did a lot of hitchhiking, and someone had mentioned to me that you can do only so much hitchhiking, but there are a lot of places here that are pretty isolated and hard to get to. And after a week of hitchhiking and spending a month with my buddy Marlon in his camper van, it was time to get my own set of wheels and do it the way I wanted to. The motorcycle I ended up buying was a 1997 Suzuki VS 800, or an Intruder. I bought it in Hamilton for 3,000 New Zealand dollars, 2,000 and change US dollars. How I bought this motorcycle was on a very underrated Facebook market. Now, I didn't exactly have a bed like a camper van has and the convenience of sleeping anywhere, aka freedom camping, but camping did come easy to me, as I found many places around New Zealand to camp either for free or for a mere $10 a night. And one of the biggest and most helpful resources is the app CamperMate. Now, after I bought the motorcycle, I came across some difficulties, and that was how I was going to hold all my stuff. The bike didn't come with any saddlebags, so I really didn't know how I was going to hold all my stuff. I couldn't exactly afford the most essential gear. I used 4 cable ties worth $20 from the warehouse. I didn't know how sturdy this would be to hold my stuff. I had a fear that my bag will topple over and take me with it. But that wasn't the case, and I was able to do this for another month before I actually invented in saddlebags, which I also found on Facebook Market. The saddlebags cost me $100 extra, but they really did a lot of help in distributing the weight evenly across the bike, as well as having better organization. One saddlebag had food, the other had camping supplies if I needed to access quickly without diving into my bag. My life on the road was made far easier, and I was able to live my ultimate dream. You not only experience the beauty that New Zealand has to offer, but you really do get to become adventurous on a whole different level. But I not only want to explain the amazing things that I experienced on my motorcycle. There were many occasions where being on 2 wheels did bring me down. You are very much exposed to the elements. While that can be good on a beautiful sunny day, rain does happen, and New Zealand, and it can rain like hell. On the west coast of the South Island, it's called the wet coast for a reason, and I found a number of days where I did fall into a state of depression. In one case, I was under this much of cover to avoid heavy rain, while my tent, my sleeping bag, and all my clothes got wet. The forecast may say one thing, but if you're here in New Zealand long enough, you will learn very fast that the forecast is never accurate. There have been many times on the road where I anticipated a good day, but that actually turned out to be the complete opposite. I've been rained on, I've had wind hit me so hard that I thought I was gonna fall off. Space is very limited, and one thing I've taken on to a whole new level, there's really not much space to move unless you're gonna stop and get off. And then finally, it gets very lonely. It's just you and motorbike. It's not you and a hitchhiker or a friend. There really isn't anybody to talk to. I found many cases where I would talk to myself. I would recite quotes from a movie.
What in the actual ass?
I would recite lyrics from a song. I would recite quotes from my favorite comedian, Louis C.K.
That nigga made the shit out of my coffee.
It really made me miss the times I spent with my buddy Marlon in his camper van, singing along to Blink 182, making jokes, picking fun at each other, eating. But as always, the disadvantages and the negatives are always outweighed by positive, and in my case, they were far grander. First of all, gas is cheap. While I did have to gas up a little more frequently than a car, the motorbike did get me a very long way. On average, I spent about $15 per fill-up. In some major cities, in some major tourist attractions across New Zealand, parking can be a pain in the ass, but on 2 wheels, I can park just about anywhere and nobody will bother me. I parked in between cars, on curbs, sometimes in the median in the middle of a street. While people are circling parking lots, it's just awesome to just ride up somewhere, put my bike in a space that fits, get off and walk away and go do whatever I want to do. And just overall brings the adventure to a whole new level. Despite the disadvantages of being in rain, it does allow you to take survival instincts and combine it with just everyday travel to understand how to be in some of the most difficult situations. Just many times thinking, should I go? And ultimately, I tell myself, why not? Some of the roads here aren't the best. I found one instance where I nearly flew off my seat, but ultimately the roads here are unbelievable. One thing I realize here is that they don't necessarily build the roads through the earth. They build the roads with the earth, which means there's a lot of windy roads, there are a lot of curves, there are a lot of turns, and those are best experienced on a motorcycle. Sure, it got lonely, but I was able to enjoy a lot of self-reflection. I still socialized, I still couch surfed. I met some other people doing the same. If I wanted to listen to music, I put my headphones on while I rode. And sure, space was limited, but to know that I did what I did, how I did it, is just an accomplishment on its own. Now, the last question that I've been asked many times is, why did I do this? Why didn't I just hitchhike? Why didn't I just buy a car like my mom wanted me to? Why didn't I get a camper van so I could just sleep in my van everywhere I wanted to? And my answer is simply, it's because it's been my dream. Back in 2011, one of my dreams at the time was to buy a motorcycle. I wanted a sports bike. And surprisingly enough, my mom got her motorcycle license a month before I did, and she bought a motorcycle, a Honda 250 Rebel, which was the very bike that I continued to practice on the roads. And little did I know, I wanted a cruiser. But instead of investing my money on my own motorcycle, I decided to divert all my hardworking earnings to travel. To the very travels that I'm living today, even here in New Zealand. That dream of owning a motorcycle, that stayed with me. Finally owning a motorcycle and using that motorcycle to travel New Zealand. That is and always will be my dream within a dream. My time here in New Zealand is soon to come to an end, which also means I will have to say goodbye to my motorcycle and sell it. But to take the time to reflect on all that I've done and experienced, and the fact that I did it my way, I will have to say, I am pretty damn proud of that. And I will continue to live the rest of my life remembering that I did it. Thank you for joining me, guys. As always, it's a pleasure to share. It's always a pleasure to inspire. If you have any questions about my travels, leave a comment below. I hope this is enough to inspire you to travel, and even more so, maybe you will find yourself on a motorbike too. Cheers, guys, and happy travels.